Okay, so let's talk about the first of our four major classes of biological macromolecules, and that's going to be carbohydrates. So these molecules are often our body's go-to source of energy, but they also play really big structural roles in both plants and animals. So carbohydrates, again, these are organic molecules. They're made up of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, usually in a 1-to-1 ratio. So think of glucose. We have 1-to-1 ratio. Again, this is carbon to hydrogen to oxygen. Glucose is C6H12O6. So we can see the 1-to-2-to-1 ratio there. And while we often associate carbs with food like bread, pasta, or sugar, biologically they come from a variety of different forms, each of which have a specific function. So we typically classify carbohydrates into three main categories based off of their size and complexity. So we can have monosaccharides, which are going to be single sugar molecules. Disaccharides are two sugars that are bonded together. And then we have polysaccharides, which are going to be long chains of sugars, or what we refer to as complex carbohydrates. So monosaccharides, again, these are going to be our simple sugars. They're the most basic units that we have. These molecules typically have 3 to 7 carbon atoms, and they serve as the building blocks for much larger carbohydrates. The most well-known monosaccharide is going to be our glucose that we just talked about previously, because this is the preferred energy source for most cells. So glucose has structural isomers, and those would include fructose, which is found in fruit, and galactose, which can be found in milk. These are going to have the same molecular formula, but different arrangements of atoms. So we talked about this previously when we discussed isomers. In addition to glucose, there's also ribose and deoxyribose, and these are the sugars that are found in RNA and DNA respectively. And these sugars play a really big role in storing and transmitting genetic information. So disaccharides, these are going to be our double sugars, and this is going to be when our two monosaccharides join together, again via dehydration reaction, they're going to form the disaccharide. So for example, we have maltose, which is formed from two glucose molecules. It's commonly broken down by yeast during fermentation, where it's going to produce ethyl alcohol. Yes, the same process used in brewing beer. We also have sucrose, or table sugar. This is another common disaccharide, and it's formed by bonding glucose to fructose. So it's the kind of sugar that you'll stir in tea or coffee or something like that. So polysaccharides are complex carbs, and they are long chains, sometimes thousands of monosaccharide units that are bonded together. And these are often used to store energy or for structural support depending on the organism. So for energy storage, plants store glucose in the form of starch. So you'll find it in potatoes, grains, and rice. Animals store glucose as glycogen, and primarily it's stored in the liver cells and muscle cells so that it's ready to be broken down when energy is needed quickly. Structurally, we have cellulose. That's going to be the main component of plant cell walls, and it's actually the most abundant organic molecule that we have on Earth. So we can't actually digest cellulose, so it's what we call dietary fiber. But certain microbes, like those in the cow's stomach, they can digest it. We also have chitin. This is another structural polysaccharide, and it's found in the exoskeleton of insects. It's also found in the exoskeleton of crabs and lobsters, and it helps give them their tough, rigid structure. So carbohydrates, again, they're more than just sugar and starch. They're essential to energy production, cell structure, and even genetic function. So we use them to help power muscle contraction or to help support a plant's shape when we're talking about cellulose. So carbs are really foundational to life.